been with Technia for around 15 years now, and as the title of the presentation might reveal, I've been working a few of those, at least days or months or years, in projects related to integrations for our customers. So to set the stage, and as integrations are sometimes quite technical, and some of you here might not be that technical oriented, I would like to start off with one slide or image from actually a customer that I'm really grateful for them letting me use this image from their homepage. This is Seco Tools, a customer to Technia. They are one of the largest providers of metal cutting solutions. And this is taken from their web page. And as we can see here, it's quite a lot of product information that is residing originally in their 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And I just want to show this to visualize some information that you might have in your PLM system that you want to expose to other systems. So typically here we have the product line this product belongs to. And then more specifically on the product, you have information and attributes and dimensions residing in 3DEXPERIENCE. But a lot of this information also resides in your ERP system to be able to sell the product. You need it in manufacturing to produce the product, and here to be able to market it and sell it to the end users. You provide it to external on your external website. More additionally, you have illustrations, images, and then also lightweight formats or drawings that you are generating out of your CAD designs. Furthermore, if you scroll down when you visit Seco Tools website, you will see that they have spare parts, accessories, and additional information related to the product. And as you can imagine, these are varying, of course, for all of you. You have different information related to your products that you need to use in your downstream systems and to end users. So how do you then do this? I mean, you spend quite a lot of effort and time and money on getting your product information in good shape. Now you really want to leverage that and expose it to other systems as well, and other users outside 3DEXPERIENCE. So from Technia, we have one solution for this that we call Technia Integration Framework, that then is used for integration to a lot of different systems. You have ERP system, requirement management systems, ECAD, other PDM systems, and software management systems. But as well as mentioned, I mean, you probably have a bunch of other systems that you need information pushed to as well. And that's the principle with the Technia Integration Framework, that you should be able to utilize it for integrating to any other system you have internally. And this is a software that we at Technia release on a regular basis, 6 times every year. So our customers then can provide feedback to us where we need to improve or need to add new features in this. We can incorporate it into the product and release it. It's used for integrating following industry standards, and it is then used to configure your integrations. It is used both for integrating, but it is also used for different types of batch functionality you might use in your platform, typically PDF generation or conversion of CAD designs into neutral formats or standard formats, and converting Office documents into PDF and watermarking those. And so there are different modules in the integration framework that you can benefit from using here. So what we want to do is to get rid of those more complex, very technical programming that is needed to set up integration in the past, and instead move into configurable, reusable, more small building blocks that you can use in your integrations to make it a lot easier to integrate, quicker to set them up, easier to maintain, and requires a lot of less testing on for your business users when integrating to other systems. So spending more time on actually providing value to the end users instead of developing the integrations. And then to keep a good track of your integrations between the system is then also provided a good administration UI to monitor your integrations and see if they fail, which they hopefully not do, and then you can see how they are behaving and how often they are used and who is using the integrations. So now, I'm not sure if this is bold or stupid. The coming minutes will tell. But compared to, I guess you've seen a number of videos the last, maybe not this day, but at least yesterday. Hopefully I'm the guy to the right, just pushing easily to get these systems integrated, and not the one to the left. So I will then, let's see, run through a number of demonstrations. First one is I will create an article or part inside 3D Experience where it actually integrates to an SAP system residing on another site through Microsoft Azure environment. Then I will export part and BOM information. I will build a BOM and transfer it to SAP. I will show you a bit of the batch and PDF conversion functionality, and then a scheduled export. You typically export information on a daily basis or a weekly basis, and then also a case where we download a file from another system, but in this case it will be me actually doing it. Logging into 3D Experience. Yeah, it's working. So, logging in, I'm getting to my homepage where I have different pages with my parts and documents, the projects I belong to or am involved in, and so on. So we will start off from my parts and create a new part. As a user, as it should be, I don't even know that this is actually integrated. So let's see what we will create. We will create a new motor assembly. So I have it created with the part number 773. And then, as a user, I don't even know that this was actually integrated. But what has been done now is that I will go into my integration framework, administration UI. I will see the last, I can show you a bit here. On this page, I will see to the left, I see all my integrations that are set up in this environment. So I have a number of integrations here. I will see how frequently they are used. I will see the latest errors to the right here. So if I go into services, or I can go to actually to see the latest integrations. So here, I can see that, ERP, part create. So I can see the details on what I have sent to the ERP system. So here I sent my new motor assembly. And then later below I will see information that I get back from SAP. So below here, it's a lot of details from SAP, but at least down here I have the 773, the number from SAP. I'm not that familiar with SAP, so I will not try to log into SAP and search and display it there, but I promise it is actually created and stored in SAP on the other side. So this is one typical integration for our customers, and this is set up with configurations to transfer it. Next one, I will go into this assembly to its engineering bill of material. I will create a new part. You create a screw. So now I have a screw, and we will need 25 or 35 of those. So now I have a quite simple assembly here. So in this scenario here, you either, in some cases, you might to transfer this engineering bill of material to your ERP system or to another system already at this stage. So you can then manually, as a designer or user, can click here and transfer it out from 3D Experience. Or the other option is that you trigger it when it is released or changed at a certain state in the life cycle of the part. But in this demo, I will just select this. Let's see if I can do it with right click. No, I couldn't. So I will select it and then say export part boom. So now I have told 3D Experience that, or TIFF actually, to transfer this boom to SAP. So if I go in here again, I will see that there's a new integration that's been executed. So this is a complete list of all integrations now. So my part was successfully transferred to SAP. So I can go in here and see the details on when it was done and who did it, and also the information that was sent out. So here we have the e-boom, and we have a quantity of 35 parts or screws actually included in the boom. So this was the first two cases where we have done configured transfer of a part and its boom to another system. The next thing I would do, I will go back to my home page and go to the Documents tab here. So I did a bit of preparation here. So I created a new instruction. I uploaded a Word document to it. It's this file here. We can view it. Okay, so here I have a mounting instruction that I want to send for review and approval to release it. So if I scroll to the right, I have a workflow here where you can see, if I click on the workflow, you can see that it's currently, I have prepared it, and it has been also, as you see green here, it has been approved by the two persons that reviewed this document. So if we look on this document here, we will see it. You can see it here, that this is stamped with, it's a PDF file that was generated by TIFF. And it is stamped with review or preliminary or not approved, or what you might like to stamp it with. And then I'll go in here and I will actually now approve this task. Looks good. So my document is now released, and if I then go into my administration UI, I will see, I can go to jobs again, I get a good overview here. Create PDF was executed. So this one indicates that I have created a PDF file. And if we go back to in here and then display the preview again on this file, you will see that the preliminary watermark is not there anymore. So it's a newly generated PDF file stored on this document that is released. And what also happened here is actually the next demo I would do is actually, you can see here, we have an integration called ERP document send link. So what this is that when we release a document, it might be connected to a part. In SAP or in your ERP system, you might have a reference to the drawing of this part. In general, you don't want to duplicate the file and store it in your ERP system. Instead, you might want just a reference back to your PLM system. So what this does is that it transfers information to the ERP system where they can store then a link to the actual file inside the 3D experience. What I will do then is to... this is then the link that the users in the ERP system clicked to download the file. And here I have downloaded the file from 3D Experience. And this is a quite small configuration needed just for this integration. It's like 4 or 5 lines of XML. And in this case, we didn't apply any authentication, so the user didn't have to log in. But you can activate it easily to require the users to actually log in to be able to get access to this document as well. So there's another few lines of configuration needed to apply authentication against your LDAP server or to 3D Experience. And now again in the administration UI, we will see that we have called PDF. And it's succeeded. If we would have, it also says which server or laptop the request came from, and it would also, if you enable authentication, you would see the user actually accessing this service, and I downloaded the file. Okay, the last case I had, it's actually not that fancy. It's not much of a demo. It is just in TIFF you can set up scheduled jobs to run on a certain time interval, hourly, daily, once a week or so. And then configure that it should typically export all your parts or your product lines, as mentioned in the illustration from SEK. You might want to export some data that 3D Experience is master of. So that is also then configured, and easily you will see it executed, and you can see the information that was passed out with this integration. So you have, in this case, an XML element that is document that is sent to another system.